Hi, I'm Tammy Cornett with the iPhone Chef. Tonight we're going to talk about hot peppers. The first thing I want to do, because we've got just a limited amount of time, I want to get a little cheesecloth I've cut here. I want to take a tablespoon of celery seed, a tablespoon of pickling spices, a tablespoon of turmeric, and a tablespoon of mustard seed. Now I want to go ahead and get this tied up while I'm talking to you all and get it into my boiling vinegar and sugar. We're going to preserve some hot peppers tonight. I have had so many come in out of the garden, and there's a couple of different ways you can go about doing this. My favorite is to make my father-in-law Jack's hot pepper relish. Absolutely one of my favorite things to get out in the middle of winter. I'm going to take this cheesecloth bag and I'm going to drop it down in here into my boiling vinegar and sugar. I've got 3 cups of vinegar, white vinegar, and 3 cups of sugar in here. And I want to start this and get it going. And now we're ready to go ahead with the iPhone Chef. Now, there's several different options when you're preserving peppers. You can dry them. I put these on the dehydrator and dried them all. Then you take them and grind them in a food processor. Actually, a coffee bean grinder works best to get them real fine like you see at some of the pizza houses, and you can use those all year long. Now, my Russian friend Irina, she made these for me. It's just vinegar and hot peppers stuffed down in there, and you use the vinegar throughout the year. And now what we're going to do today is talk about canning the hot peppers. And this is yesterday's batch. This is made exactly by the recipe, and you can find the recipe in the Ball Blue Book for this batch. Now the batch that I'm making is just for me. The Ball Blue Book is going to tell you exactly how to can, and you really need to get one if you're thinking about doing any canning at all. Now what I've done today is I've cut and chopped and ground all of my peppers and everything that's going to go into this. Now I use my KitchenAid processor, and what I like to do with each different ingredient is do it 3 different ways. I like to chop it real fine, I like to grind it medium, and then I like to pulse it just a little bit so you get different sizes of the peppers, of the onions, of the cauliflowers. Now what you do then is you pour water over it, and you take some either kosher salt or pickling salt. Make sure not to use iodized salt because it'll change the color of the peppers and the onions and everything. You fill up with water just like this. You sprinkle the salt over top of it, and then you let it soak for at least 2 hours. Now one of the most important things to do when you're done with the soaking is to wash it extremely well. You want to drain it. I'm going to take this over to the sink, and I'm going to drain it. And then I'm going to run a nice stream of water over top of it. And then I'm going to let it sit and drain. Now while I'm doing that, I've already brought this to a boil. You can see right here that the turmeric is already starting to change the vinegar and the sugar, change the colors. So I want to take the cauliflower. The recipe actually calls for 1 gallon of everything, and I didn't have quite that much, so I've refined the recipe a little bit. I'll put the actual amount on the website, on the YouTube video site. I've got my cauliflower, I've got my onions all nice and ground up, and then the one thing that I really like to add that I think makes it great in the middle of winter is some cabbage. I've ground that up real fine. Now I'm going to pour that in there. I'm going to stir all that up real good, and now I'm going to have to cook this. I'm going to have to bring it back to a boil and cook it for at least 5 minutes after it comes to a boil. Then what I'm going to do, and we're not going to have time for that tonight, but I'm just going to tell you, we're going to, after this comes to a boil, then I'm going to take my peppers, and this batch is just for me. This is all hot red peppers. This right here is all hot green peppers. The last batch I made was half and half, but this is going to be absolutely so hot that you almost can't stand it. Now once all this comes to a good boil, you're going to put it into your canning jars. You're going to give a hot water bath for at least 35 minutes, and then you'll be able to pull it out in the middle of winter or any time so that you have a great taste of summer. I'm Tammy Cornett. I'm the iPhone Chef. I'm Kentucky Proud. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.